This tiny little camera right here is the brand new, highly anticipated Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. Now, seeing that the previous model, the ZV-E10 Mark I, is without a doubt one of Sony's most popular and most sold cameras for the last few years, then I think it's safe to say that this one has a lot to live up to. And the big question everybody's obviously asking themselves right now is if this camera is actually as good as Sony claims, or if it's all just a big old marketing hype. Now, I've been using and reviewing Sony cameras for almost a decade, and in this video I want to really put it to the test and try to figure out what it's actually made of. Plus, I'll be telling you all the things that I did like about it, and the one thing that I kind of, didn't like. Alright, so the biggest update by far has to be the brand new image sensor. We have now a 26 megapixel XMR-R image sensor, which is kind of the same one as you have in the A6700, which is the same as the FX30, which is a cinema line of a camera. It's not totally the same, but kind of. So it's good. On top of that, it's also equipped with a Bionz XR processor, and now, finally, the ZV-E10 lineup can film in 10-bit footage, which is huge. This is such much bigger color space, and if you like to color grade like me, or just color grade in general, you can push your colors much more around. So that's a massive update. Then it can also film 4K footage up to 60 frames per second, which is, that's pretty good. And if you want to get 120 frames per second, that's slow motion, bombastic slow motion, super slow motion, then you can do that in full HD. Unfortunately, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, we didn't get that in 4K as well. That would have been sick. Now, I do also think it's worth to note that the 4K footage that this camera is filming is actually oversampled 6K footage. So it means that it's actually higher quality that you are getting. That's cool. One more thing I also think we should mention, and then the rest of the specs you can read by yourself. You can Google. You guys know Google, right? And that is the active stabilization. So you have another active stabilization now, or not another, you have an extra one, which is a lot smoother than you've got previously. And I think this is pretty neat. It punches in on the footage, so you actually lose a little space in exchange for more smoother footage. And that's a nice little trick to have up your sleeve when you're out doing your handheld shots. And then another pretty big upgrade too is that now we have these big Sony batteries. So instead of those, if you've been shooting with APS-C cameras in your life from Sony, then you have these small batteries, and you kind of had to carry at least 5 of them with you because they didn't hold a lot of electricity, not a lot of power in them. But this, I'm good with just 2, maybe 3 if I'm out there a long time, or not even that. These hold a lot. This is so much better. So I do appreciate that a ton. Now, if we talk about the build quality and what it looks like and what it has, then as you can see, the design of it is just a similar design or the same design as all Sony APS-C cameras, which is really small and compact. You can see it right here. And this one is no different. If you used the ZV-E10 in the past, the Model 1, then, or should I say Mark 1, then it's a little bit bigger. And that's due to, of course, the fact that we now have, as I said before, a big battery. All right? And it also makes that the grip is a tiny bit bigger, which I like a ton. It was a little bit awkward how small the grip was of the ZV-E10, but here it's a lot bigger. Now, as you can see, you have a microphone on top. This is a 3-capsule microphone. It's pretty decent, but I prefer to have an external microphone like I have on this camera right here. By the way, this video that you're looking at is mostly filmed on the Sony a7 IV, which is a full-frame camera. If I'm not showing the B-roll, which is all filmed in this, or if I'm doing some tests, then I'll tell you if I'm filming with the Mark II ZV-E10. Now, the rest of the body is quite minimalistic. and like really simple. You have one scroll button right here, which you can control the aperture with. Then of course you have, this is like iconic for this camera, a big record button. I do enjoy that a lot. You have one button to that you can bind. It's currently on like I think defocus and with focus mode. Do you call that? Bokeh mode or whatever you want to call it. I'll write here, I can't remember off the top of my dome at the moment. You have a shutter button and on off of course, and then you have this digital zoom that you can do here. And on the back of the camera you have a wheel like this. You have FN menu button and two other buttons that I don't need to go into. Then of course you have a wide-angle LCD screen, quite nice. It is a touch screen now, which is good, and also it tilts horizontally. So if you're a horizontal guy, or a girl, then it tilts for you. All right, so the wind is gone, which means that the small flies that Swedish people call knot is here. There's small mosquitoes that bite you everywhere, and I'm kind of getting a little bit eaten alive. So I'm gonna try to find a little bit different spot and keep on the rest of the video, you know? Then on the side here you have all them flops, they say flurps. If you open up here, you see a jack for a microphone, but also in here you have this shoe where you can put a microphone here too that doesn't have a cable. If you have that, like I have on top of this camera right here, then you have a USB-C port. You have one SD card slot, and you also have a headphone jack, which is really cool if you want to listen to what you are doing, and a HDMI. And by the way, if you're wondering what happened to my finger here, I almost cut off my entire fingertip the other day, and that's another story. All right, so who is then this camera perfect for? Now, I think in my opinion, it's a great camera for anybody out there who's looking for a small, compact camera that you can easily carry with you at any times and still is capable of filming like professional looking photos, professional looking videos, and capture some good looking photos. Then if that ticks your boxes, it's definitely for you as well. Now I think it's pretty obvious too that Sony is targeting this on like content creators. And in my opinion, it's great for like all levels. Whether you're a beginner or a professional, this could definitely like be a camera for you. I mean, I've been taking photos and videos for 10 years almost, and I've been creating content professionally for years, and I use it. It's great. I mean, it's a camera or B camera, doesn't matter. It's a nice little camera. Now, is it perfect? Well, nothing is perfect in this life, and of course this has some flaws that I'll talk to you guys in a second, but it is really simple to use. I mean, there isn't a whole lot of buttons, and it's pretty straightforward. So if you're considering this or the ZV-E10, if you're a total beginner, then I would lean to this. It's much better, and you can also switch lenses and all that. So that's my 2 cents or $2 to say that, 2 kronor where I live on who this is for. Now, I know that many of you guys watching are aspiring content creators, and one tool that has really helped me out for the last few years in creating content that people actually want to watch is Artlist. I mean, they have all of the music, sound effects, templates, stock footage, and a whole lot more that I use on almost a daily basis. And they recently released a brand new feature that is AI-powered voiceover that is kind of like magic. And I really want to show you guys this tool because I think it can be a game changer for many of us. So I did ask Artlist if they wanted to sponsor this video, which they happily agreed to. And let me just show you this tool and throw up some footage with the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II as well.
Imagine watching your favorite movie without any music. It feels empty, right? Music and sound effects are the heartbeat of any video. They set the mood, build tension, and evoke emotions. From the beat of a catchy tune to the subtle rustle of leaves, they transform simple visuals into immersive experiences.
Now that voice sounded so good, and the best part is that it's incredibly easy to generate this, you just click the tab up here and you have a bunch of different voices to choose from, and all you have to do then is just to write in this box whatever you want the voice to say. You also do have a few sliders to play with, and then it's just to press this button right here and boom, you've made yourself a sick voiceover. It couldn't be easier. Down in the description there's a link which will give you 2 months extra of your yearly subscription plus a little kickback to me, so thank you for that. Anywho, let's continue the video. So here I'm doing a little dynamic range test and like checking the highlight roll-offs, and to me this looks pretty decent. Like I've seen better dynamic range in my life, but considering this is a consumer camera, then it's quite good and a massive upgrade from the previous model. Alright, so let's talk about pros and cons when it comes to videography and then photography separately. What I think this camera really shines and where I think, you know, it might not have shown as well. Anywho, when it comes to videography, then I mean this camera is obviously made for creating videos and especially content, and I think it's like it does a good job there. Now of course, like don't count on it being a professional is not, of course you can create professional videos with it, but maybe not like cinema top of the line blockbuster quality. I mean this is a small camera, but it packs a lot of punch and it's easy to use for videos. They've really like been thinking about it for a videographer in mind. Photography on the other hand, it's also good. I mean, it's still the same sensor as the A6700, or not the same, kind of the same, so it's good there too. But why I said but there, 2 times but, why I said that is that the camera lacks a viewfinder, which is a pro and con at the same time by itself, because without it, the camera is obviously smaller and more compact. But you don't have the viewfinder, which I personally like a lot when I'm taking photos. Now it's not needed, you can of course use the screen. So it's not like you cannot take photos if you have 2 of these cameras, one is viewfinder or not, they take the same photo. But it is something about like lining up a photo with your eye that is so satisfying and something that I like a ton. So if you're like me there, then maybe you would not enjoy this camera as much strictly for photography. But since this camera is like a gem for content creators, you can of course take tons of photos with it and get all of your thumbnails and just use it in general. And I mean, I'd say like a lot of my photos, even on all of my other cameras, I'm using the screen too. So I mean, it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, but if I were strictly thinking about just the photography related camera, then I would personally have also a viewfinder. But since, you know, yeah, these are my 2 kronas in that department. One thing that I do want to add is that I've like kind of just realized that I've gotten so used to vlogging with this camera right here that I've kind of totally forgotten how nice it is to vlog with this tiny little setup right here. I mean, it's quite heavy and you get a little bit tired when you're holding it, or I don't really get that tired, I'm a Viking, but if I weren't a Viking, I would get quite tired holding it like this all day long. However, this here, this small setup, I can hold this all day long like this, and yeah, well, it's not even a workout, you know, it's easy, walk in the park. And then one more thing I think many of you guys will find interesting is that all of the clips that are shot with the ZV-E10 Mark II are all filmed in S-Log3, which wasn't really possible on the previous model, or technically it was, but because of the 8-bit color coded, it just sucked. But here with the 10-bit, it looks good. And I find it quite easy to play with the colors and color grade these clips. Basically, all of the clips that you've seen in these videos are color graded with my LUT pack, very simple to use. And those of you who are interested, you could find it in the description down below. Alright, so I've been using this camera now and like really hammering on it for the last few weeks, and I want to talk a little bit about what I've found that I really liked, and also, as promised, things that I did not like. So what I've really liked about this camera is of course the fact that it's a really small compact camera that is capable of filming like more than just decent footage, good footage, and I do like that. I mean, I'm a fan of Sony APS-C. Now I've like mentioned most of the things that I like liked a lot, so it's no need to like repeat that. However, one thing that I haven't touched on that I really like, it's a small little upgrade that does so much, and it's the fact that now when you switch between photo, video and S&Q, when you want to quickly go between these settings, then you have this lever here, so you can just go to S&Q or photo or video. Instead of before on the previous model you had a button which went in a loop, which like such a pain in the ass it is. Alright, so what about then the things that I like quite frankly didn't like? Well, for starters, they did not include the AI chip that they are putting in like most of the new cameras, or not, maybe all. That makes the autofocus so good. Now I am gonna give credit that the autofocus here is good and it's like better than on previous model, but it lacks the AI chip to make it like top, like the best autofocus that you can get. So that we don't have. It's not a deal breaker, but it would have been sick. Now another thing I think like kind of sucks a little bit, or like a lot, is the fact that we do not have 4K footage up to 120 frames per second like we have on the A6700. Now I know that on the A6700 it's cropped, but still we get the option to film that high of frame rate in 4K, which is clutch. That is like goated. And I think that they're not putting it here because it kind of would compete too much with the A6700, and then this small camera here would simply just be way too good. Now speaking about the Sony A6700, then that is a camera that personally I think is absolutely fantastic. And if you are looking for a new Sony APS-C camera, then in my opinion it's a camera that you should also consider. So my friend, next watch this video to find out how good the A6700 actually is and if it's maybe the perfect fit for you.